This is Channel 2 News, coverage you can count on.
We may be in spring. Doesn't look like spring, though, here in the Truckee Meadows today. How much snow we got and how it's going to stick along for. How long it's going to stick around for. Stormwatch tops Channel 2 News at 6:30. You know, March is coming to an end, what, on Friday? April 1st is Friday, I believe. Yep. But it looks like winter outside. Another twist today. Good evening, I'm Landon Miller.
And I'm Jennifer Burton. Kristen has the night off. We knew it was coming, this storm, but flights were canceled, schools were closed, and the roads were treacherous as the storm dumped several inches of snow in northern Nevada. We have Stormwatch team coverage tonight for you. Ryan Kennedy is live on North McCarran Boulevard with an update on the road conditions. Paul Nelson is live at the Reno Tahoe International Airport where flights were postponed today. But let's start with Chief Meteorologist Mike Alger in the Weather Center. So, Mike, are we looking at more snow tonight?
Maybe a little bit, and I think it's going to be very spotty, hit and miss. Not the very, very impressive band that came down from the north this morning, as they often do with these what we call inside slider patterns. And it also enhanced right as it got here into the Reno area. And it actually happens that way quite often with this pattern. And I'll show you why. As people wondered, you know, why is it that you don't see very much to begin with? An inside slider is a storm that kind of drops down here out of the north, usually sliding down on the eastern slopes of the Sierra. But as they do that, there's actually a difference in the mountains. Here in the Reno area, as you can see, they really bump up quite a lot once you get to the Reno area, and they're much flatter up to the north of us. So as these systems drop on down, they don't really do that much until they get down toward our area and then start rising up over the top of it. And that's that lift that causes the enhancement that usually happens somewhere right around here in the Reno area. And that's why we had so much precipitation. How much did we get? It really depends on where you were, but Wingfield Springs, 10 to 12 inches out there. Stead, about 10 inches. Verdi, 9.5. South Reno, 8 to 9 inches. The Reno Airport reported 6.8 inches of snow, which ties for third for the greatest one-day snow total in a late winter storm, and that is anything that occurs after March 15th, and this is the third highest that they've ever had since that. Carson City only got 1 to 2 inches. Minden and Garnerville really didn't get any accumulation. So it's a very, very tight area of where the snow was its greatest. We may see slightly more over the next day or two, but it's not going to be the big heavy amounts like we have here. We will tell you about, though, a night and day difference between our forecast now and the end of the week. I'll have that for you coming up here a little bit later in the show.
Wow, that's crazy. Thanks, Mike.
Sounds like spring. Ryan Kennedy is live at North McCarran Boulevard off US 395 with an update on our road conditions. So, Ryan, how are the drivers doing out there?
Well, Jen, I will tell you the drivers are doing a lot better than they were doing this morning during the morning commute, but we'll get to that in a little bit. First, we want to talk about the conditions out here right now. It actually just started to snow again, and it's getting noticeably colder. And if you take a look behind me, you'll obviously all that snow that did come down earlier. And on the roadways, traffic is still going pretty smoothly, but you can still kind of see some of the wet patches there that will likely turn into ice overnight. But even though the storm seems to have calmed down a bit, this morning's snow caused some major havoc on the roadways.
We saw, obviously, very slick roads, a lot more snow, I think, than most people thought we were going to get. But recommend, like anything else, just give yourself extra time to get where you're going.
And NHP tells us their troopers worked more than 40 crashes beginning at 4 o'clock this morning, thankfully a majority of them being non-injury accidents. Now, one of the major accidents included a jackknife semi-truck that shut down 395 northbound here at North McCarran for more than an hour this morning. But even though the storm has settled down and there's less snow on the roads, NHP wants drivers to anticipate waking up tomorrow to even more hazardous conditions.
If you do come into icy conditions in the morning, understand that every input to your car needs to be real deliberate. Whether it's a slow application of the brake, give yourself enough room to steer. Real slow, deliberate inputs to your car.
And no matter where you're driving, be sure to check the road conditions before heading out the door. You can either dial 511 or just head to our website, KTVN.com, for updates. And continue to stay with Channel 2 News as we continue to bring all the latest Stormwatch continuing coverage. Come to the story live in North McCarran, Ryan Kennedy, Channel 2 News.
Good information, Ryan. Thank you. And with all of the snow this morning, pilots had a tough time when it came to visibility.
Yeah, not surprising. Many flights were postponed or even canceled, stranding some travelers at the airport. Paul Nelson joins us live from Reno Tahoe International Airport with the latest.
Yeah, Jennifer, this storm came in really on a pretty busy day because of Easter and spring break. Now, as you can see, there still are plenty of delays here at the airport, but not quite as many as this morning. That's when there were about a dozen flights canceled and even more delayed. Airport snow teams are staying busy, keeping the runways clear for planes to land and take off. And every plane is being de-iced, removing several inches of snow off some of the aircraft.
We've got full or almost full flights, but then on top of that, Mother Nature threw us a curveball with this snow.
But officials say this strip is the best maintained 2 miles in northern Nevada, and it was the visibility that caused the delays and cancellations. Each airline has its own safety guidelines, and canceling a flight could depend on the type of aircraft and the pilot.
The pilot in command is going to do whatever is best for the safety of that aircraft and those passengers. So if the visibility is poor, less than a quarter mile or so, they're going to take safety measures.
These college students are on their way back to school in Providence, Rhode Island after a Tahoe ski trip. But their flight out of Reno was canceled. They'll land in Boston about 4 hours later than planned, at about 1 in the morning.
Just really bad timing. We're on a closed time span here, considering we got to get to class tomorrow morning. So it should be rough.
Honestly, the worst part about it is that we're not skiing right now. They're getting like a foot of powder at Squaw, and we're sitting here in the airport.
There you go, sweetie.
Thank you.
Mindy Adams is on her way to Vienna, and if traveling internationally is not stressful enough, her flight to Salt Lake was delayed, throwing off her whole schedule.
I'm rerouted to Paris instead of Amsterdam. It's so stressful to be on this kind of weather, but I guess Reno's like that.
And officials say it's best if passengers show up about 90 minutes early for their flight just to be safe. And it's also a good idea to sign up for some of those phone alerts through the airlines. That way, if there is a delay, you'll find out about it possibly before you even get to the airport. Covering Stormwatch Live, Paul Nelson, Channel 2 News.
All right, thanks, Paul. And all this snow had homeowners busy cleaning driveways and sidewalks today. As Aaron Breen shows us, it actually created an extra wave of unexpected business for those who clean the snow for a living.
No matter how you do it, with a snowblower or with a shovel, there was a lot of this going on today. Corey Bettinghouse has created a solid lawn service up in Somerset, and he was ready to start up lawn preparations this week. That is until this pile of work blew in overnight.
We're supposed to be getting water activations going and aerations and dethatching, and a lot of sprinkler work supposed to be going on right now, but not today, so caught us a little bit by surprise.
But like all good businessmen, he's flexible. So they loaded up snow blowers and shovels instead of aerators and lawnmowers and hit the road early this morning.
Normally our average is like 2 to 3 inches, but this morning it hit so hard, and so like when there's 5-6 inches on the ground, people just start being like, hey, can you get out here as soon as you possibly can?
He says all business is good business.
Last year's drought, we just were doing, yard work all year long and cleanups and pruning, and so snow removal is a different gig, but it's good.
They have a system and can get to a lot of properties in a row, which adds up.
We have a lot of concentrated homes out here, so we do about 50 in a day.
And at $35 a house and more than enough clients to fill the entire day, this snowfall is going to be an unexpected windfall for Corey's lawn service and all of his staff. Covering the story, Aaron Breen, Channel 2 News.